Hey everybody, welcome back to the Heelcast. I'm Impact Dude, and this week I am joined by my good buddy from down in Puerto Rico, Robert. Robert, how's it going, bro?
Hey, I am more than good. Excited to talk about Impact Wrestling now in the year 2018.
That is awesome, man. It is so glad to have you back. It's been a while since you've been on the Heelcast.
For about 2 months, something like that. And, it feels good to be back home at the Heelcast.
Yeah, well, it's definitely awesome to have you back. We missed you, bud. Did you have a nice holiday?
Yeah, it was cool. It was quiet, obviously, due to the situation, but still, it was good. I took a lot of time with my family, and that is what mattered the most to me. And how about you?
My Christmas was great. We spent a lot of time with the family. Unfortunately, New Year's wasn't so good. I had to put down my almost 18-year-old dog on New Year's Eve. So that stunk, especially considering that we were about 150 miles from home. So that kind of put a downer on the whole thing. But, she lived a great life. She was almost 18, and everything else went really well. So, Yeah, it was good. So let's move on to this thing. Let's do our plugs as always. Everybody, if you're not already at impactasylum.net, go now, right now. Get there, get in the chat. The best Impact discussions you're going to find anywhere. Lots of fans, lots of great insight. And, of course, the home of the Heelcast. And also the home of Straight Shooting with FK9. As you guys know, FK9 has been a little bit hit or miss the last couple months. We're hoping to get him back in earnest here soon. Don't forget to check out our good friend Andre Corbeil, as well as the One of a Kind Elite Podcast, another great partner to the Heelcast. And, of course, if we're talking about Heelcast partners, how do we go without hitting the Impact Lounge with our buddy BQ? Of course, there is the Wrestling Observer or Wrestling Perspective podcast with Petey Williams. And, of course, we have Robert Does Wrestling. Robert, what do you have lined up for 2018?
Yeah, I have a couple of videos lined up. As for now, I'm working on top 10 knockouts matches. I have, the whole thing planned out. I just need to sit down one day, cut the food, and do the voiceover. But that is one of the the videos that I've been working for quite a while. So I am excited to drop that on soon during this week. I'm looking forward to doing that video.
Awesome. And look, Hurls put it on Facebook, so the cat is out of the bag. Later on this month, Heelcast exclusive with none other than Congo Kong. So, folks, if you got questions for Congo Kong, go ahead and throw them down in the chat, whether it be at impactasylum.net or on YouTube. But let's get those together so we can have a great interview with him. I'm personally really looking forward to having the monster on in a couple weeks. So speaking of news, Robert, we finally are getting some new content being produced from Impact here. Looks like they're going to kick off taping here from January the 10th all the way through January the 15th. So we got a marathon set going on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I was looking forward to go to that taping, but as for now, I am not financially capable. But I hope they do something new. They need the new content, something to pump the audience for the new year. So I wish them nothing but the best, and I am looking forward to talk about the show.
So when do you think we're going to get the first content aired from these shows? Because I know there's at least 1 week of overlap, right?
Yeah, I think they have 1 week down. So basically that would be like the 15th. Let me check the calendar out. That will be the 18th. I think that is too late.
That's what I'm thinking, because we still got that barbed wire match that everybody's looking forward to. We know they advertised it up in Ottawa, so we know it happened. We're pretty sure we're going to get to see it, but we haven't seen it yet. So it just seems to me like this content that they're taping is going to be pretty old by the time that we get to see it.
Yeah, that is a bad something bad that they're, the calculus is kind of having too many weeks in the bank, because at the end of the day, the spoilers are gonna be out, and you could miss a couple of thousands of viewers, and viewers matter, especially during this time that they are trying to rebuild the new Impact Wrestling.
Do you think some of this could be logistics? So they want to try to get through the tapings before they have to edit the first show.
I think the whole thing is that they rather have things in the bank, let's say, than running the whole thing kind of thing. However, I think they should have either put something this week, cut a couple of segments off, and put the best that they could have this week and start, fresh, and probably do like a live show, because that usually gets a lot of attention.
Yeah, I would ditto that.
Yeah, that would have been the way to go. But I don't know if it has to do with financial, or if it has to do with not having enough people to edit the show. That could be another problem we don't know about. However, it could be a bad optics, but when something is good, it does not matter when you see it. It is like all music. You could listen to any 80s album, and it is if it is good, you could listen. As for now, in 2018, so it does not matter. The only thing is that probably it be hurt by the spoilers, but it is what it is, and I wish them nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah, me as well. Now, speaking of tapings, we're hearing reports coming from our buddy Andre, and he's saying that the March tapings are going to be from Toronto.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We need to see more different places, different people, and therefore different reaction. During last year, I enjoy a lot when they were on India. So now they're gonna be in Toronto. I don't think they have ever been in Toronto in quite a while. What are your thoughts about the tape in Toronto?
I think any new area they can establish is fantastic. I think what they really do need to establish is basically territories, right? If they could make Orlando a territory, they can make Toronto a territory, and then maybe slice a territory out of, say, Pennsylvania or something, where they've had successful sets before. I think that's what they need to do. And they need to be able to travel through those territories. That's how they're going to build, a successful set of house shows. And it's one step at a time. Give the folks something they want to see. And, Robert, you mentioned it, and you said it quite eloquently, that you let this content get stale, then it's going to be reported and everybody's going to know what it is. But think of it this way. If these folks are taping on 110, okay, and the show leading into 110, right, hasn't aired yet, they don't know what's happening. So how can you get an audience to invest if they don't know what came before it, right? It's the same thing with the marathon tapings in general, especially from an area like Orlando, where you're going to get a different set of tourists every night. They don't understand what led up to this. So how are you supposed to have a successful crowd? So they need to shorten the tapings, and they need to get a little closer to, what they're taping.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But at least they're not doing like the way they used to do during the Eric Bischoff days. They used to, during the Eric Bischoff era, they used to tape the whole thing out of order, because they didn't want the search to figure out what was going on, and therefore you kill the vibe of your crowd, because you don't want the dirt sheets to know what the hell was going on. That was a terrible idea. because obviously Eric Bischoff. I'm not. let's not attack Eric Bischoff. He's a good boy. Without him, we wouldn't have him a wrestling, to be honest. I'm joking. He didn't hurt Impact Wrestling. No, he and Hogan are in, but that is sidetrack. However, I wish them nothing but the best. Maybe they have something. Maybe they have something so good, something that could be must-see TV that could be listening to, could be therefore like they could build the anticipation for what could be going up next. However, if there is gonna be any debut or return, which that is something that I am expecting to happen, that is gonna get leaked by the internet unless you that stage.
So who are you expecting? Hit me with it.
You know who I'm expecting, and this might be going off the left. I am expecting Rob Van Dam to show up. Because he's like buddy with this guy Cyrus. I am expecting him. Yeah, I am expecting him to show up in some type of capacity.
Wow, RVD. Yeah, I have not heard that one anywhere.
Yeah, who are you kind of looking for? Something out of the left field that you could say, hey, this might happen.
You know, they haven't done anything out of left field. They've really stayed with, you know, simple debuts and folks that aren't huge, pardon the term here, but impact players. So to me, I expect to see, you know, more of the same. I'm not looking to find Chris Jericho, right? Or Kenny Omega, or, you know, I'm not expecting to get, you know, New Japan or ROH guys to show up for this set of tapings. I'm just looking for, you know, let's just keep the wheels on the bus and maybe try to build something.
Yeah. That do you know who, talking a little bit of track for a second, but not that much, right? You know what match I am looking for it to happen during this year, 2018, and it have to do with the next guest on the Heelcast. I'm looking to see Monster versus Monster. Congo Kong with Jimmy Jacobs versus the Monster Abyss with Father James Mitchell. I think that could be a cool matchup for 2018. Let's get sidetracked by that, but I am looking forward to, you know, many different things, and that could be something that could generate some speculation and some good TV between these four characters.
Well, and I'll tell you, there is one guy who has been hinted at, and that's Crazy Steve.
Yeah, I think the whole, when he show up on the other side of town, was they wanted to sign him because, you know, he's legally blind, and you know, they want to get that PR. Let's not be hypocrites and think there are some angels on the other side of town. Of course not. They're doing that for PR. However, they might have found out that, you know, without Rosemary or Abyss, or without the presentation, he was not the guy that they were looking for. And I would love to see him back home, and obviously with his old partners. And I think it was Rosemary who was, you know, tagging him in photos and stuff lately a lot. But that could be a cool return that we could see. Crazy Steve, someone who was kind of lost with Menayarach, something like that. I cannot pronounce that name. So, but then he was rebuilt with Rosemary and Abyss, and they did their cool decay stuff. That is a good one to see. That's a good person that I want to see return.
So yeah, I'm with you on that, and that would be about as big as I would foresee. What I'm also hearing is Alberto El Patron versus Fallah Bahh, and Ali and Braxton versus Nikki and Nico, whoever they are set for Wrestle Pro at a Rahway, New York, and Robert, that's going to double as an Impact taping. What are your thoughts on those matches in Wrestle Pro showing up on Impact Wrestling?
I have to be honest. This is the same promotion that they showed the one from this week, right? Alberto Patron versus.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they need to get better lighting. That is the problem that I had during that match. That could be something that. Yes, that could be something that could. That could be something that could be good, but the whole production value gets a lot of problems. It didn't look right for TV. So if they wanna double down and use that food, go ahead and do it, but they need to get cool lighting because it look out of place. But we're gonna be talking about that later. What are your thoughts about that? The rest of
I couldn't agree with you more. We'll talk about it later. Neither match is terribly interesting to me. I actually like Fallah Bahh more than he is actually getting pushed. That having been said, putting him with Alberto is likely to be a squash match. Ali's great. Braxton sucks. No idea who Nikki and Nico are. So it's likely to be, some form of a comedy match. Putting that stuff on Impact, with that particular quality, never mind. Now, speaking of good news, right? I think this is great news. I understand that Christy Hemme has given birth to quadruplets, 3 boys and a girl. So, Robert, first of all, congratulations, Christy. And at the same point in time, good luck with that. Robert, what are your thoughts on having quadruplets?
Yeah, congratulations to Christy. And, they have to work not even double time. And that is going to be, quite a task to raise all those kids at the same time. But, congratulations to her. And also Jesse Gutters. He got a kid.
Really?
Yeah, he got a kid. I think it was a boy. So this week also. So
I did not hear that. Congratulations to him too. That's fantastic. Somebody to feud with Maxwell down the line. Speaking of raising, Robert, ratings are up for the 3rd consecutive week. We have now broken 300,000 viewers. It's 309 to be exact, for the first time since the July 20 episode. That's a great trend.
Yeah, that's a good news. Good news. They need to keep those ratings. When Jeff Jarrett came last year, he was able to raise the ratings, but as he ended up getting into trouble with the Bush, it is something sad and something that I can, feel, let's say, in the same place, because I had a little bit of trouble with the bottle also a couple of years back, and things went down. However, if there's a will, there's a way, and now they're finding their way all the way back to good rating. Hopefully, I think that could be a goal for Impact Wrestling, that they could get at least 400K by summer. That could be an obtainable, but I am looking towards the future. That is gonna be, later down the line. However, right now, it is the present, and they are on the rise. So they gotta get from point A to point B, and hopefully, with this new set of tapings, they are able to that number. So congratulations to Impact that they are raising once again the ratings.
Yeah, that is good news. As we got some congratulations, we also got to throw out some sad piece news here, which is Sonjay Dutt. He had surgery to repair his torn Achilles. So he's going to be out for a while, at least wrestling. I'm sure he'll stay in the back. But what are your thoughts on that one? I didn't even realize that he had torn it. Any ideas as to where he tore it?
Yeah.
Where he was wrestling?
I truly don't know about that. But speedy recovery, get recovered quite soon. Sonjay Dutt, I hope to see you soon in the ring, but take your time because injuries are serious business and you don't want to, jump the hoop and cut corners during that. No,
definitely do it right, Sonjay. Now, recently, the Knockouts champion, Laurel Van Ness, did an interview, and she was asked specifically about her contract situation. And she said she was under contract through June. And then she also said that, that people report everything and we just laugh it off. She did not directly address her request for release, though. So she never said that she did not ask for a release. The good news, I guess, Robert, she is under contract through June. She is promoting the living, out of the product. What do we think about this? Is this just sort of like an overplayed story? Do we think that she requested it, would like to have it, and got denied it? Do we think she's going to be gone after this set of tapings? What are your, where's your head with this particular story?
I don't truly know what the whole thing is about. It could be many things. It could be either like the whole thing got reported and she's playing with people's head and trolling people. That I could definitely see that happen. However, it is sad if she is leaving, but I think she's gonna stay until June at least. I don't think she's gonna before that. I truly don't see that happening.
That's kind of my thoughts, especially if you consider that the March tapings are going to be from Toronto. I would imagine she would just go to the March tapings and then, that would get her through June. So at the very least, she's got 2 more sets of tapings and she'd be done by March, off by June, if that's what she wants to do. I mean, I think it's overplayed a bit. I think people are trying to make it sound like, she's making demands and she's being this terrible person. In reality, she just is somebody that decided that, hey, I'd like to get a release. And if that's the case, she asked for it. Apparently, what I'm hearing is she asked during the tapings, and they decided to put the strap on her anyway. It's very possible that she didn't want the strap, and she was trying to protect the company from giving her the strap for her to then, get released. Say, look, if I'm not going to be here, don't put it on me. And was actually being a team player by saying that when she did. We don't really know the whole story. And I'm just tired of people making her out to be some sort of a terrible human being because maybe she decided she wanted to release. It's her right to ask for release whenever she wants to. It's their right not to grant it. I don't see her acting like there's any hard feelings or doing anything unprofessional. And until she does, I'm inclined to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, people were running and celebrating on the street saying, having champagne. Ha ha! Impact Wrestling is gonna die. Now the knockout champion is gonna leave the promotion. The same trash we hear every single year. I don't know when are these people gonna, that Impact Wrestling is not gonna go down that easy. When are they gonna end up finding that out? At the meantime, I would be watching their reaction and their overplay of things because it is funnier from this side of the fence.
As long as Anthem is content to put money into the Global Wrestling Network, Impact Wrestling is not going anywhere at all. Robert, that leaves me this question for you. Are you signed up for the Global Wrestling Network?
Yes, sir.
And what do you think of it?
So far, so good. I only have used it on my cell phone. I haven't used it on my monitor or anything like that, but I haven't had any problem at all. I've been watching like all pay-per-views because that is something that I'm gonna be doing a couple of stuff on my channel. But so far so good, quite good. Nothing. It didn't let me waiting or have buffer issues, at least on my end.
I signed up for it a couple weeks ago, with the thought process being that I was away and I wanted to finally get to watch Slammiversary. I was on vacation when it came around, so I didn't get a chance to watch it then. So I figured, well, let me catch up and let me watch it now. I like the Impact content on it. I think it's great. I think it needs additional content. I think that they need to probably work with some of the partners to improve for sure lighting. We're going to talk about that later, and even some just just production quality in general. Don't know that any of it is impossible for the partners to fix these things. My biggest complaints, Robert, are that I want to watch it from my Samsung TV and I can't get it. And I want to watch it, on the big TV and it's not in the App Store, whether it be for Samsung or whether it be for Google as a TV app. So you need to fix that Impact, and then you need to clean up the interface a little bit. That's kind of my complaint. Searching for things, not the easiest thing on the planet. I pretty much relegated myself at this point to, transmitting it from my laptop to my television. The problem with that is I don't think it's sustainable to grow the network. And so to me, some of these technical things are going to cause issues for people that actually want to watch it on a TV set. And I still think most people watch their, television on a TV set as opposed to their phones at this point. And this is only optimized for a telephone app. In fact, if you try to stretch it out onto a TV set, it just stretches. So if you're looking at that Rosemary picture, all of a sudden Rosemary's like 4 feet wide, man, by 2 feet tall. So, I think if they clean those couple things up and put a little bit of effort into getting into the stores, throw a little bit of money into technology, I think they have a really, really great concept. I think the Impact content is fantastic, and I think their ability to add partners and bring people content they'd otherwise not see, it's right there in front of them. But I think they got some technical hurdles they got to get past. Speaking of hurdles, so New Japan recently had Wrestle Kingdom. And part of Wrestle Kingdom was Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, a match that I literally just got done watching a couple minutes before we went to air here. And they're talking about doing it again. Only this time they're talking about wanting to do it in Canada. Obviously, with the Don Callis ties and a lot of, wink, wink, hint, hint type of a thing. People are starting to think that it could be on Impact. Obviously, nobody's saying anything. It's all speculation. Personally, Robert, I'm not holding my breath for this one, but what do you think about, first of all, this match, and second of all, the concept of it potentially occurring on Impact?
I haven't watched the match yet. I need to sign out once again to Japan World. However, that could really surprise me if they could end up doing like the rematch on Impact. Let's see, because at the end of the day, you're not gonna add that much people. It is always something new if they could get it to I don't see that happen. To be honest, I think I don't see that happen.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it's more, likely Kenny Omega could wind up in an Impact ring. But rumor has it that Chris Jericho only did the New Japan gig because he got Vince McMahon's, blessing to do it. Vince McMahon is never going to bless him to come to Impact. So I just don't see it happening. I think if it was going to happen in Canada, it would have a much stronger chance at happening either New Japan doing a show in Canada. I mean, why not? Or, WWE, or potentially even Ring of Honor. What I will say about the match, if you haven't seen it, this is a good match. It was about 34 minutes long, 38 minutes long, I think. It seemed like it would never end, but it did keep you on the edge of your seat. It was slow paced. This was not your typical, what you think of with the Ring of Honor anyway, where it was a spot fest. They did a lot of spots, but they took their time. And Chris Jericho has amazing ring psychology. It's a lost art form these days. Kenny Omega kept up with him just fine. I think that Jericho really set the tone for that match, in my opinion, and was really the ring general. Omega was awesome. I don't want to take away from anything that Kenny did, but the ring psychology was just off the charts. The concept of having that in Impact would be phenomenal. And I think that, Don Callis, if you're listening, this is a fantastically booked match, and we'd like to see this type of thing on Impact. We want to see slow, methodical, with lots of in-ring psychology. That doesn't mean we don't want to see the spots. And I know that a lot of people are screaming already into their keyboards saying, wait a minute, I don't like slow and methodical. There's nothing wrong with slow and methodical. You still hit your spots. And they did that in this match. It's just that they didn't rush everything. They didn't kick out of each other's finishers 5 times in a row and really make it look cheesy. They did it right. And when somebody went for a pinfall, you were actually, even though it wasn't their finisher, thinking to yourself, oh my gosh, this could be it. And of course it wasn't, but you had you thinking for a second. Lots of credit to Jim Ross, who was calling that match. Did a phenomenal job calling the match, as always, at least on the Axis version that I was watching. But it's just definitely a match to watch, and a type of match that we'd like to see in Impact. Even if we don't get Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, let's start to build this type of a match. Now, Robert, shortly before we went on air, you had some breaking news on 205 Live that I thought you might like to share for the listeners.
They got a house show canceled. And probably you didn't hear about that because obviously the dirt sheets didn't like to report on that. But if it was on the other side of town, if it was in wrestling, that would be all over Twitter. But that is, I know what to the calendar, not the calendar, but the notebook of the double standards between WWE and Impact Wrestling. Go ahead.
So, speaking of WWE, and this relates to Impact a little bit anyway, apparently we've got more Paige porn. So apparently the Paige is putting out more movies, or more movies are coming out about her.
Yeah, they need to to find the person who's posting that, because he keeps on, posting that, and it is almost like weekly. There's something, and that takes a toll. So I cannot imagine being in Page and just logging in and see, hey, naked pictures of yourself or over the web.
I wouldn't mind seeing naked pictures of myself on the web, as long as the hit counts were high. I'd be fine with it. It's if nobody was looking at it that I would be like, maybe this is a problem. I think I know. I got a couple of suspects on this one. The first one is Alberto, right? Because I don't think he's in any of them, right? So I'm thinking that he's like suspect number one, and then the other suspect, of course, is Raven Effect. Because if that dude gets his hands on porn, it's going everywhere.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail. We should open out an investigation on Raven Effect. Oh. Because he's the leaker, he's the source.
I think so. You heard it here first. Raven Effect is, and he's on all those sites too. You got to figure he's got an upload button. I mean, they probably want him to start contributing back at some point. I digress. All right, so look, there actually was a show this week. A lot of people are killing this show, Robert. A lot of people are just destroying this show online. Before we kind of get into it, what was your overall take on the show?
It is like, what is the name of the song? There was a song like 8 years ago that was very famous, that it was like, first you're cold and then you're hot and blah 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 blah. something like that. This week episode of Impact Wrestling, where you got like an amazing tag team match, and on the other side you got a badly produced wrestling match that looked, terrible with, glass flare and empty public and bad. The best and the worst of in one whole episode. How about you?
First of all, I think it was a Katy Perry song, You're Hot and You're Cold, that you're referring to.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I got it stuck in my head now. Thank you very much for that, by the way. Not a huge Katy Perry fan over here, folks. So yes, I did Google it. It had, I think if you broke it down, there were 3 shows in one. There was the phenomenal show, right? That was just off the charts. There was the decent show that was passable, hey, wasn't too bad. And then there was the, oh my God, what the hell are you thinking? Why in the hell am I watching this part? Right. And I think just as a news flash, those people kind of key in on the bad part. Right. Because once you have something that's really bad, it just destroys the show. And so what they probably needed to do was they probably needed to have certain segments of the show, like not with other segments of the show. That's the way that I saw it anyway. They could have had a great show out of this, and then they could have put parts of this on the playback shows that nobody was going to watch anyway, right? And put new content in. So that's kind of how I thought. Now, speaking of what I thought was a great part, Taiji Ishimori defeated Trevor Lee and became the new X Division champion. Now, Robert, I thought this was just an awesome match. What was your take on it?
Yeah, this was basically a showcase of Ishimori. He's as impressive as hell, and he's a square away. And, good to see him now run with the belt. I don't want him to be, this year version of Sanada, but, let's see where this whole things play out. And I would love to see some character development out of him. Why do he wear the mask? Does it have any meaning? Something, along those lines. And you can build something out of good match, and he's as impressive as hell. How about you?
I always like watching Ishimori. He definitely impresses the living bejesus out of me for sure. What I'll say is that, look, this is an opportunity for, Impact to send shockwaves around the wrestling industry, that this is how we're going to treat your talent when they come to our promotion, and just give the man a mouthpiece. Just have a manager just manages international talent. That's it. He's the international talent manager, and he's got a stable, and they're international, and they kind of come and they kind of go. Ishimori needs character. Robert, you hit the nail on the head with that. Give him a character, give him a backstory, explain him. He's not going to be able to do it to himself. There's a language barrier, but he can tell a story in the ring, and he's got talent for days. I mean, he's just outstanding in the ring. It's great to have a champion in the X Division not named Trevor Lee. So I love what they're doing here. I love Ishimori. I think they have a real opportunity to give him a mouthpiece and just explain, this is how we're going to treat your talent. It's not going to be the way it was years ago. And giving them the belt's a great start. But you know what? Like you said, they've done that in the past, right? They did that with Sonata. They gave him the belt. And they never explained him. And then the next thing you know, he was running around with the Revolution, and it still didn't make any sense. So give him a mouthpiece, for crying out loud. But no, that was an outstanding show, and I think if you were to watch, Impact, and you got that match as a main event, I think that you'll be excited for it. Do you agree with that match could have main evented Impact?
Yeah. And there's a couple of things that could have made evented Impact easily. However, there was a lot of ball fought during the whole thing, but I see a lot of talent in Ishimori. I think one page that I think they should take away from the Sanada playbook I don't know if you remember the Impact episode that Sanada, they showed like a video clip of him training during the morning, going for a run, and he was like narrating the whole thing in on Japanese, and they have like subtitles, and he was telling like what is going on, why am I training, blah blah blah. That was good. I found that to be good and enjoyable TV.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that could be the first stone in order to build the character of Taiji Ishimori.
Yeah, and they've got to do that. They've got to pull him in, and they've got to make him somebody that's real. He can't be a guy that just has a belt for a set of tapings or a part of a set of tapings, and then they move it back to Trevor Lee. And in fact, they've got to get Trevor Lee, away from the X Division title for, I don't know, the next 3 to 6 months. He can stay in the division. He can move into a different division. I know we've all talked about him moving into, the mid-card role or even in tag, but they've got to get him away from the belt because the belt's just bland on him now. He's had it for too long. Now, you go from this and you go into another match, which I was really intrigued to watch this one, Robert. Grand Championship match. EC3 retains against Fallah, Bahh, and Matt Sydal. Now, I got a couple things on this. First of all, I mean, this is an odd pairing. EC3, kind of a heavyweight. Fallah, Bahh, super heavyweight, right? Matt Sydal, lightweight, X Division guy. So I don't think you're going to get, the great Matt Sydal spots out of this. I think it's an opportunity for Matt to maybe show that he's a little more than just a spot guy. Fallah, Bahh kind of coming out of nowhere and getting a title shot. And EC3, who is just, he's just E flat 3 at this point. He is just flat as can be. He just has lost his mojo totally. I like what they're doing with Fallah, Bahh. I think he needs to be built into a solid mid-card guy. The crowd's over. They enjoy him. They love him to death. He does the bah, bah, bah thing. Matt Sydal is really working hard here. I think that he needs to work a little bit better on his mic skills. I don't think that he comes off as being, the greatest talker in the world, to say the least. Ultimately, the match was kind of bland, and I gotta tell you, I was kind of bored with this. But one thing happened at the end of this match, and I haven't heard people talking about this a lot online, and maybe I just missed it because maybe it just happened and then it stopped. But Matt Sydal says later on that he wants a match without judges or rounds for this belt. Now, I gotta tell you this, Robert. If this was the last Grand Championship rules match that I ever see, it's my favorite. And it instantly becomes a classic. Because no matter how boring this thing was to watch, if we just get rid of those stupid rounds, if we get rid of the stupid judges and we just go to a mid-card title, I'm all for it. Yeah.
The whole, I didn't, pick up the line about, Matt Sydal not wanting, want a match without any judge, stuff like that. I think that could be onto something. One thing that I'm gonna, my first piece of criticism during this was the very beginning, right? They ended up showing, hey, this is a 3-way dance for the title, right? And first thing that came out of Josh Matthews' mouth was to poke fun. Poke fun, no, but poke a hole into the whole thing by saying, hey, what if every single judge voted for someone different? Who would be the winner? And I was like, man, not bad. I'm trying to buy into this match. Don't poke fun and holes at the very beginning of the whole thing, unless they're gonna, destroy the whole thing, get rid of those rules, and then make it just a mid-card, title. For the match, Fallah have been given, a little bit of shine during this type of Impact, this later portion of 2017. And he have done a great job. He have gotten himself over. And that is what matters the most. So you're now seeing a guy that, even though Impact is giving him a little bit of something, he's able to take that and make it work. So that is something valuable. And you have to put those, the eyes. He should be on the lookout list. As for EC3, I totally agree with you. EC3 has lost his mojo. I don't know what is going on with him, but they need to do something with him. Probably taking the title away from him could be something that could reinvigorate. So, as for Matt Sydal, I'm not a fan of him, but he's a hard worker, and he make the best out of every single match that he got. And, the whole could have been a little bit better, but it was enjoyable. This was not a bad match by any stretch of the imagination. Go ahead.
Well, I'm a Matt Sydal guy, and frankly, when I start getting text messages from Briggs saying that Sydal is sliding into the ring again, that just makes me smile from ear to ear, because I know that's something that I requested from Petey Williams, and Petey said he'd do, and then it immediately happened. So I'm going to like Matt Sydal for that, because he seems to be taking my advice. That always makes me smile. But what I'll say here in this case was, I thought Matt Sydal won round 3. I gave him round 3. Now, I'm not a judge, and the whole thing's fixed. It's wrestling, for crying out loud. But I actually thought he won round 3, and I thought that it was going to be 1-1-1. And I think 1-1-1 and letting it end, in a big questionable way would have been a great way to put these guys in a 3-way match again, but without rounds, right? And keep Fallah in there. Now, it's possible that they want to, make Sydal and EC3 continue on without Fallah, but I think it would be cool, because I like Fallah. And I got to tell you, I know you talked about Congo Kong versus Abyss. I'd like to see Congo Kong go out with Fallah for a while, or make them tag partners. Could you imagine those two as a tag team? And then they could actually feud with Decay. But at any rate, I like Fallah, so I'd like to see him kept in here. It's just like I said, I don't know. I do not like these rules at all, and it does not suit Matt Sydal's style. It also doesn't suit EC3 or Fallah style either. I mean, none of those guys are that type of wrestler. So anyway, all I got to say to that one is, moving on, because that's kind of how I feel anytime we get a grand championship match. Again, this would be part of this is a passing card match, right? This is not one of the awesome matches. So we've had a great one. We've had one that passes. And then I don't even want to talk about this next match, Robert. This was the most pathetic excuse for a match that I have ever seen. And I watched the Finger Poke of Doom. Okay. I was far more entertained by the Finger Poke of Doom. I actually kind of enjoyed the Finger Poke of Doom in a lot of ways. Dan Lambert defeats James Storm in what is the biggest. I have seen train wrecks that look better than this. Okay. I'm talking about colossal train wrecks coming at each other. I've watched AJ Styles go out after taking out the entire TNA roster. I have watched Sting go out doing the same thing. I think it was like back-to-back weeks, or damn near it felt. And so I know they like to have, their originals go out, and they got to send them out, but they try to send them out in a decent way. It doesn't make them look bad. But James Storm looked awful here because there was no match. Dan Lambert and America's Top Team, they looked pathetic in this match. Bobby Lashley looked weak in this. How in the world, Robert, do you manage to have a match where everybody looks like complete and utter dog shit? How do you do it?
I don't know how they did it, but they did it. Man, whole thing was not good at all. No one benefited from this. Who is the winner at the end of the day? No one, because at the end of the day, American Top thing is not gonna be around for 2 years or something like that. They're gonna leave sooner rather than later. This is not gonna make Lashley any stronger, because he needed everybody, beer bottles and all the other stuff to get rid of James Storm. Nobody could be the winner or could benefit it from this angle. This was horrible. I think the only thing that could save the if there was a blood. I say if it was a bloody beatdown, maybe I could buy into it, but it was a slow. They were trying to go to the slow and dramatical type of stuff, but there is an art to the whole psychology thing. Is an art. Not everybody can pull that out, and obviously we saw that on Impact this week. This was not good, and especially after that, James Storm caught a promo that this is the end of him. I didn't like that send-off. The send-off that I like that TNA did was the Petey Williams one, the original, when he lost the 4 briefcases matches, and he started crying. Yeah, that is something that I could buy into. But this whole thing, this was not good at all. I hope not the end of James Storm by Slammiversary or something like that. But this was not good TV.
I'm muted. I'm gonna miss James Storm. I love James Storm. I'm sorry he's not going to be on TV every week anymore. And I'd like to see him go out in a strong way that gives him the kind of reverence that a guy of Storm's caliber deserves. I've always been one that said that I prefer, James Storm to Bobby Roode. And a lot of people, my buddy Raven Effect in particular, they're like, look, Storm's great, but Bobby Roode's Bobby Roode. I kind of see it the same way. Bobby Roode's great, but James Storm is James Storm. And, he's got the charisma. He's got the athleticism. He's got the ability to tell a story in a ring, out of the ring. He gets over with the crowd. This is a guy that they should have built the show around a long time ago. And he's a guy that, pardon the pun here, should have been an Impact player, more so than he ever was. And the fact that the only thing that they could give him was the greatest tag team wrestler ever in Impact Wrestling is a shame. Because he's more than just the greatest tag team wrestler they ever had. He should be remembered as one of the greatest singles wrestlers that they've ever had. But the way that this didn't help Storm. They should have just had him go out and lose to Lashley. And then, by the way, Robert, this is the part that really gets me. They didn't give him the opportunity to say goodbye in the ring for the home audience. They did do it at the show. Instead, they go to the back. And again, I don't know what the hell they're thinking. I just don't. This is just makes me want to just take my fingernails against chalkboard, because it's just horrible. They've got everybody kind of clapping and saying, "Woohoo! Good way to go, Storm." The dude just, in theory, just lost his job. You guys should be like consoling him as opposed to, "Woohoo! You're out of here." I mean, it was just like, and then it was like nobody's. Like, I think I saw John Bolin back there. Where are the locker room leaders that he would have been like friends with? This is the best that they could pull out. Were guys that were enhancement talent, for God's sakes. Nah, man, have them all come out to the ring, show them off, do it right, for God's sakes. You made the rest of the roster look like shit anyway.
Yeah, and we also got cheated out of a second James Storm title run. We never got that. That is something that bothers me to this day. and they're gonna let him go like that.
Yeah.
The whole thing was terrible, man. I don't know who was the genie came out with this way of doing things, but this was not good at all. Nobody benefited from that, and in reality, it makes everybody, including the roster, look bad, and that is not a good look, especially for being the first show of the year. This is the first show of the year, and you're already making your all loyal audience mad because they lost one of their guys, Game Storm, and in the process, you make everybody look like shit. This was not good. I'm sorry. I don't wanna be overly negative. This was not.
But you're not. This is warranted, right? Whoever came up with this idea, you're done. You're done. That's it. Never again. No more ideas from you. Go sit in the corner. Okay. Go sit in the corner, crouched. Okay. And that's it. You're out. You're out. I mean, it is 2018. We're not allowed to shoot them, but in reality, that's kind of how I feel. That was the dumbest idea, the worst segment I've ever seen on a wrestling show ever in my entire life. Now, let's move on because my blood pressure's through the roof, and quite frankly, I may have to be carted out of here in an ambulance if we keep talking about this. Want to ask you, Robert? After this segment, they did a flashback match with Joseph Park and Bully Ray. This is basically promoting the Global Wrestling Network. Now, what are your thoughts on them? A, promoting the Global Wrestling Network, but B, showing like a full match or a large part of a match to do it. What are your thoughts on that?
I am a yeah. Let me explain my thoughts. Right. I grew up here in Puerto Rico, and there was a tradition here by the promotion that is run by Carlos Colon that they show every single Sunday a match, an all match called they dub the segment and classics of pro wrestling. So in order to, let's say, boost their credibility, they show all matches. So, as for example, when Kane won the WWF title, they show on their TV Kane when he was Doomsday wrestling against Carlos Colon. That is something, good, and it adds credibility, promotion. However, the way they did it, it was just a single segment of around 5 minutes, and they didn't show most of the time the finish of the match. So that would let you, wonder, hey, well, and I need to find that match out. So there is a side of me that likes that. I like history. I like Impact Wrestling showing their own history to the world, their greener days. However, I think it is not a good idea to keep the whole thing up. I think they would showing just half of it, and in the audience out to the application and watch the rest of the match. I think that could be the way to go. And there's one comment that I need to make. In particular, this match, the Bully Ray versus Joseph Park match, was a good match, yes. But the placement of a big, large crowd with good lighting, quality, before a match that didn't have any of that was kind of a problem. If you know,
I do actually.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna be honest with you. I got because there's a nail, if there's a hammer in one hand and a nail in the other hand, you had just hit the nail on the head, and quite frankly, you countersunk it with one shot, my friend. Everything that you just said is exactly how I feel about this. I love them promoting the Global Wrestling Network because that is how they're going to monetize this product. And then monetizing this product means we're going to get to keep watching this product. So I love them doing it. But I think it's counterproductive and counterintuitive at that to give away the cow, right? And then try to sell you some milk. I've now seen this match. Why would I want to watch the Global Wrestling Network? You need to tease it out a little bit. So maybe you show all the way up to Abyss showing up, right? And then as soon as Abyss grabs, Bully and slams him or whatnot, you say you cut out and you go, hey, you want to watch this whole match in its entirety, and see how it ends, go to the Global Wrestling Network and type in the following. Or maybe they actually, God forbid, make the match of the week from Impact actually something you can click on in the Global Wrestling Network app. So you just find it right away, right? Do something like that. Give us an opportunity to do the free trial of the Global Wrestling Network and then get hooked on it, right? And then, of course, there was that amazing looking crowd with all those people in it. And then we got Chandler Park with Joseph Park defeating John Bolin. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, Robert, that, I like the fact that they put the Joseph Park match before Chandler Park match, right? And kind of showed the longevity that this Joseph Park character has had now. But, again, we talk about the passables. This was not supposed to be a great match. Nobody who has never wrestled before should ever be beating a guy as large as John Bolin, right? This just shouldn't happen. I realized they sold it well. There was the quick roll up while he was distracted or whatnot, and obviously Chandler Park can actually wrestle, folks. I don't know how to break the news to you. He's actually quite an accomplished wrestler on the Indies, but it was filler. It was acceptable, right? It had to go somewhere on some night. What do you think, Robert?
This was, passable. Nothing to, write home about. I felt like kind of the how can I put it? The matchup was odd because you got the Chandler guy versus this guy who looked like he's playing from a hardcore band or something like that. He looks full of tattoos. He looks like a someone that you may not want to mess with, and you just beat him. This was a missed. Not that I was expecting a 5-star match out of it, but not the greatest of it, and especially being back to back against Bully Ray versus Joseph Park. This was not a good placement at all.
No, it wasn't. And it's funny. You mentioned the crowd of Joseph Park and Bully Ray. And then wait for it, Robert, because you also mentioned the crowd of Chandler Park and John Bolin, right? Now we get to talk about the crowd of, wait for it, Eli Drake, your global heavyweight champion, as he defeats Alberto El Patron. Folks, we're talking about probably the two biggest stars in the company right now, okay? And they're on tour, okay, at Wrestle Pro in Rahway, New Jersey. And Robert, I think they wrestled in front of about 7 people in the high school gym.
Bro, I was watching this match, right? And at the very beginning, obviously there's gonna be, a difference in production, Sample A, Abyss in Joseph Park. Sample B, the whole thing that they're doing at in Sample C, Wrestle Pro, right? However, I was watching the very early type of the match, and I am now watching it like in a good monitor, right? And I'm watching, hey, the white color is a little bit off. You need to work a little bit on the color. That's not bad, but there were from that side angle, the one that was closer to the ring, the arena looked like they have a couple of people. But once they put the other camera, the pan out camera from the other side of the ring, I was like, stunned. And to be honest, I got really mad because you have your champion, your top guy, and you got Alberto Patron, one of the people who is most over with the audience, and you're gonna show them wrestle there, and main event, number one, and number two, with a production quality that was terrible. The color correction was awful, and the first thing that you see, like in the middle of your screen, all the empty seats, and I was like, first impression you want to make during 2018, let's say someone was flipping up channels, hey, let me get the latest update on Impact. And you are welcome with that thing of oh boy, this to be honest, this should have been cut.
Somebody sent that match to Vince McMahon, and he didn't believe it. He didn't believe it. He's like, not even Impact would do this.
I don't know. To be honest, who was in the TNA office, on the Impact office, being the quality control guy and watching that and say, hey, put that on TV. I think it's a great idea to put that on TV. Oh,
It's the same guy that decided that booked the Dan Lambert James Storm match. That's the only thing I got for you, Robert. It's got to be the same guy. It's got to be the same guy. It's like, just sit in the corner, fetal position, just sit there, just stay. No, don't move, never again. You're done.
We may have to legally prosecute him. Charges, crimes against.
There's got to be some kind of crimes against humanity, for God's sakes.
This was terrible, man. And it have nothing to do with the talent, because the match actually was not, and they were good, but the whole production thing, killed it. That match do not belong. Or, let's say, if I found that match on YouTube, I'll say, hey, this is upcoming wrestling promotion. Let me see. Hey, they got Eli Drake and Alberto. That's not bad. They got good talent, and they're doing their own thing. But on TV, no. This not good. This did not belong on TV. What are your thoughts about that beauty that Impact Wrestling gave us as a gift during the first episode of Impact of 2018?
Well, I'm a fairly outspoken person in my professional life as well. I like things to come across very clean, very crisp. And I'm very, I have a reputation for being anal retentive and have a very, very, very high attention to detail. If I were Eli Drake or Alberto Alpatron, I would shit my pants watching this. I would call up Impact Wrestling and I would start screaming at somebody, because quite frankly, those two fellas, they have their own brands themselves that they're trying to protect and grow. This does nothing for that. And I would utterly refuse to go outside of Impact to do another show after that. And that would just be the way it would be. And it's to protect myself. I have no idea whether this is a good match or a bad match. I found it hard to watch. It seemed like it was a good match. It really did feel like it was probably a good match, but the production was so bad. I have no idea why they're doing it again, but I will say, okay, at least they decided to do Braxton Sutter next time as opposed to Eli Drake. They at least fixing that much. But please, God, please don't do this, because if I am a casual fan, as Robert mentioned, and I couldn't help but laugh when you said it, Robert, and I am flipping through what's going on with Impact, I'm like, oh my God, now they're in empty high school gyms. Holy shit. I can't be caught watching this now.
Yeah, and and the colors all over the place. It was like, man, did you even, did any video editing or anything with this footage? You just took the footage and this is good. Send it to the TV truck and air this thing out.
They had to screw up the lighting because if they had turned the lights on, you'd see there was nobody there. So, I mean, honestly, what they really should have done is they really should have taken a page out of EA Sports Playbook, right? And then just, built the crowd into it. In fact, I think WWE has been known to do that. When they have top sections of crowds, they'll actually digitally show a crowd like it was there that wasn't there. At least that's what I've heard in the past. This is going back years. Something like that. I mean, like anything, right? But I mean, it was train wreck. It was like, you know what? Why don't you give us another match off the Global Wrestling Network? I mean, you've got this content library. I would have preferred to watch that. Eli Drake did not need to defend against Alberto El Patron. They didn't even build the match up, really. I mean, we all know Alberto El Patron wants his title back, but it's not like they teased it out in advance. It's just like, hey, let's show this match for WrestlePro because we have a spare segment. Train wreck. It was terrible. It was not as bad as Dan Lambert versus James Storm. So, folks, please, this was not even the worst match on the card. Okay, but it was terrible. So I'm counting it up now, right? We've had one phenomenal match. We've had what appear to be 3 really passable matches, segments, right? The Grand Championship match. It wasn't great, but it was passable, right? The Joe Park Bully Ray flashback match. That's actually a good match, but because it was a flashback, we'll knock it into this category. And Chandler Park again. This was nothing. You had no high expectations. It lasted 2 minutes, right? But it was plausible. It had to start somewhere. Right. And you've had the 2 terrible matches, like I said. You had the great match with the X Division Championship and Ishimori winning. I'm going to be honest with you. They at least finished strong. Okay, they started strong and they finished strong because I thought that the LAX OVE tag match was a great match. And you know what? The OVE, I can't say that I'm like super excited about you. I can't do it. I'm not there yet. But gosh darned it, I'm not looking at my monitor right now thinking, why the hell are you still on my TV? You've earned the right to be on my TV at this point, right? This is a good match, Robert. It really was.
Yeah. This match basically saved the show. LAX winning, representing, doing their own thing. Good match. They're working really hard, and they're starting to get a cool chemistry. I'm gonna throw something kind of out there, something that I was thinking during the match. That this feud is a tag team feud, but inside of that tag team feud, you got a 3 versus 3. This is kind of the division, within a division, right? Who I think addition, just doing some fantasy booking, that would be something like, let's say, Reno Scum and Luke Hawk. I think that could be that trio that could be attacking and also being a trio, just like LAX and OVE. And when I was watching that match, I was thinking, I think they could add these 3 guys on, and they wouldn't, have missed a step or anything like. Well, I'm getting on a tangent here. This was good, and they saved the show because to be honest, I was mad as hell during the whole Eli Drake patron, and LAX came in and they saved the show. What are your thoughts on this match?
I mean, yeah, it was. I don't know if it was possible to save the show, but I definitely think if it was possible, this is about as close as you were going to get it. I think that Sami Callihan has added a lot to OVE. It's still the stupidest name I've ever heard of in my life. Ohio versus everything. I'm just waiting for him to start fighting props or something, I mean, have a tag match against a couple of, chairs or something like that. But the heel turn for them, I think, was crucial. I don't think that the Christs really are good faces, right? And it's a much easier to make people hate people than like them. And if you don't believe me, go out and try to make a friend and then go see how easy it is to piss somebody off, right? It's much easier to piss people off than to make friends. So it is definitely harder. But I do think that Jake Christ, I think he in particular could have a singles run at some point. He just has a moxie about him that I don't really see, out of Dave. But Sammy's bringing it too, and he's becoming the mouthpiece. The match itself was good. I mean, they have, like you said, great chemistry. They should. I mean, they've been wrestling each other nonstop for ages, and you got to figure all these matches are occurring in a few days span, so they know each other inside and out. By the time they wrestle for the 6th time in 6 days, these guys know what's coming and what to do, and there's nobody else to wrestle. Let me repeat that. And there's nobody else to wrestle. There's still nobody else to wrestle. So when you talk about Reno Scum, a tag team that I thought never got a chance, I say, sure, bring them on, give them a shot. I mean, they released them, mind you, so they're not around anymore. But why not? Why not bring them back and give them a shot? We need tag teams, and we need fresh tag teams too. So let's make the tag team a division, and let's hope to not have OVE as the next title contenders. And I don't mean that because I think they did a bad job in this spot. I just tired of seeing the same two teams wrestle, and LAX has a strap. So sorry, OVE, you need to move on, and LAX needs to find somebody different. Robert, that's kind of how I feel about this one.
Yeah, I think this last match that is gonna be happening on Impact, if I'm not mistaken, right? That should be it for this whole feud, and they need to add someone else to either the feud or cut this feud and bring a new tag team or do a out pairing tag team, whatever it is. But I think we're getting tired of seeing the two guys, the same two tag teams, wrestling each week.
Yeah, it is growing old. So Robert, final thoughts on this show. It's a tough one, man. But if you had to give this show a rating, right, on a scale of 1 to 10, after watching it and talking about it, where does this thing fall?
I think this falls to 0.1, something like barely passing.
Well, I mean, passing is probably, 0.1 out of 10. That's not passing. And maybe it doesn't pass. Maybe it deserves that.
Yeah, I would say 5.1.
5.1. Oh, I got you. I missed the 5.
5.1 out of 10. But this is a barely a pass. This terrible, and they managed to piss me. And I don't usually get pissed off, and when I'm watching wrestling, so
but they are getting genuine heel heat from you. I mean, the promotion itself did get some heel heat here.
yeah. If I could have, had like an email of the Impact management, I would have, send them a good message. But they I'm not even, playing that down, but I was so mad, bro, because you know what? They gave ammunition to their detractors with that match, with the whole Cowboy James Storm send off, and with the Alberto Patron versus Eli Drake match. They gave all the ammo. Hey, this is all the ammo that we got. Go ahead and shoot us with that. Make fun of us because we're so terrible. And this is, but there's always a new way. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully, it's not a train. This time,
it's another train. It's another train.
But hopefully we're passing through that tunnel. We could see, some light out of it. Because this was not, an overly terrible show, but those two segments, no, that was not good, and especially for being the first in the year. The first show. This is the first impression of the year. What are your? Yeah, go ahead.
So if you told me that the card was going to be Ishimori and Trevor Lee for the exhibition title. A three-way grand championship match with EC3 and Matt Sydal, two of my favorites, and Fallah, who's a guy who I am high on. A career versus career match involving James Storm. Okay. A great throwback match with Park and Bully Ray. The debut of Chandler Park, like I said, I'm not going to have much to say about that. If you told me I was getting Eli Drake and Alberto El Patron, and if you told me that I got a match with LAX and OVE, where LAX is either going to disband or they're going to win the straps, which pretty much means they're going to win the straps, I would have thought that this was a pay-per-view card. I'm not going to lie. Like, I would have been like, wow. And if you watch the show, and unfortunately you did, right? And it is unfortunate. I'm sorry for your time. You would know that this match, and this is one of my biggest takeaways. It was very wrestling heavy, very wrestling centric. If I were judging this show like I judged the challenge that we had on Impact Asylum, right, or the booking challenge, they would get like absolutely no points for character development, no points for storyline development, because there just was none. And so when you walk away, you say to yourself, there was no storyline development, right? So you immediately go from this is a pay-per-view quality card, and folks, on paper, it actually was, okay? But then you look at what they did with James Storm, and you look at how they killed Eli and Alberto, and you realize it wasn't really a pay-per-view. There were 4 titles on the line, right? But 2 of them were kind of like, type of deals, and one was just a train wreck. All of a sudden, now you're like, oh my God, I am so glad I didn't have to pay for this bullshit, right? Thank God this was a free show. And by the way, thank you, Impact. Thank you for that much. Now all of a sudden it's like, well, God, how do we judge it? This is just terrible. So I think your 5.1 probably really isn't all that far off. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to go with a 4.9, Robert. That way that we average out to a 5.0, because that's probably about where this thing would wind up being. It just wasn't quite good enough. I mean, James Storm deserved better. Eli and Alberto, they just deserved better. Wrestle Pro, please just no. You want to put them on the Global Wrestling Network, go right ahead. I'll just skip them. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah. Now that I'm hearing you giving your last thoughts, what I getting reminded of? The meme that you got on one side expectation, and on the other side you got reality. Right?
Yup.
You got expectations, all these title matches, tag team title match, world title match, grand title match, and X Division title match. But what you get, a bad send-off and a badly, lit match with no one in it, with empty bleachers. Oh boy. But you know what is the good thing about this? There is only up from here.
And ratings went up for this. I mean, this train wreck attracted more ratings than any show since July 20th. Just think about that. And then also realize people actually watch this. So God only knows if they're coming back next week.
Yeah, hopefully the people are forgiven, and they expect something better this week. But this being the most watched show in quite a while, and this is the type of stuff you're putting in, might not be a good start. Remember, this is the start of the year. You gotta start strong and finish strong. It's an easy task, but there's only one way now from them, and that is up. I don't think they can put, something good as, let's say, OBE and LAX and Ishimori versus Trevor Lee, and something bad as the end of James Storm and the Eli Drake El Patron match with horrible lighting and nobody in the bleachers. I don't think they have that sweet and sour stuff in their library, and hopefully they're avoiding that. And if they're showing stuff from Wrestle Pro, they need to get either more people in the building or good lighting. One of the two. And I am not
both. All of the above.
And I am not a fan of the lighting that Impact is using. I don't like the John Gaburi style of darker lights. I think it ages bad, especially when you, let's say, if you have a little bit of time, and this is also for the audience, go back and find Bound for Glory 2015 and go ahead and watch that pay-per-view, and you will see what I'm talking about. You will see, hey, what the hell? Do I have to bring up the brightness
on my TV?
What the hell's going on here?
Well, and I gotta be honest with you, Robert. They could take a look at the Ring of Honor product and see the ring entrances. The ring entrances in Impact, they suck. And quite frankly, and I'm not a fan of the Ring of Honor production quality. I think it's subpar. Their entrances are far and away better than Impact's, and if they can do it, I don't see why Impact can't.
Yeah, that's something that they need to work on. To be honest, this is not like there's attack, but it is truth. And the thing is that my critique comes from wanting them to get better. Let's say, if you have, I'm going to do an analogy, right? If you have a booger in your face and you got two friends, you got one friend that see you with that, but decide to stay quiet and not tell you because he don't want to make you feel embarrassed for having a booger in public. And you have another friend who tell you, hey, bro, you have a huge booger in your face. Fix that. Who is truly your friends? My answer is the second one. The one who's willing to point the bad things is the one who at the end cares about you. And that is where all my criticism for the Impact product are coming on, as someone who wants them to improve. But I rather give them my criticism than go about them when they are doing something that is not, good for their overall product.
I'm with you, and I'm the exact same way. I'm a straight shooter. And I'll never forget Wade Chambers years ago saying to me, I always like reading your comments on my articles because you don't ever, you always judge each article individually. You tell me when it's good, you tell me when it's bad. And I do the same thing with Impact. But what I'll tell you, and this is where people go wrong, it's somehow to fix it, right? These things that we talked about tonight, Robert, they're easy enough to fix, right? The James Storm thing, just don't do that. Please just don't do that, right? And Eli Drake and Alberto El Patron, just fix the venue. Or don't put that match in the venue. Put a lower card match in the venue if you want to show off Wrestle Pro. Simple. Don't send your top guys into those areas. But by all means, I mean, let's do what you and I have done tonight, on this podcast, and let's give them solutions to the problem. These problems, the solutions that they're pretty readily, obvious. But with some of the other things, let's help them succeed. So I don't just want to be one that's honest with them. I want to help them succeed. And that's where I come from. And, and that's how I feel about it. I know that's how you feel too. We want this company to succeed, and we want there to be wrestling and Impact Wrestling for many years to come. So Robert, any last final thoughts before we sign this thing off and put another Heelcast in the books?
Oh, that's it. That's it for me. Thanks to everybody who is listening to this podcast right now. You are the ones that are, the cornerstone of this podcast. You, the audience, and especially the ones who listen all the way through. Thank you so much for your support, and we will see you next time around. Go ahead.
That's right. Well, look, guys, exactly what Robert just said. Thank you very much for listening. We do this show for you, and really only for you. And we hope that we're able to make a slight difference. And that's kind of where our heads are at. At any rate, on behalf of the entire Heelcast, especially my good buddy Robert, thanks for joining tonight, Robert. And hopefully we'll get to be back on together in the near future. I'm Impact Dude saying have a great week, everybody, and we'll catch you next time.